So we're on chapter 10 of the Consumer Math in section 6. And we're going to be talking about something called the constant ratio formula. And so this looks harder than it is. It actually is simplifying everything out. That's always has to do with installment plans now. What do you use an installment plan? It's a way to finance or borrow money for big items, like borrowing money for a house. You're going to have a mortgage, and a mortgage is going to be that installment plan for a house in financing it, or for a car. Now, many times you can save up the money and buy a car and save a lot of money on finance charges because there's a lot, and they charge you interest on what you're paying, so you're going to pay a lot more money than you thought for that car because you're paying them interest, right? So this is a constant ratio formula they use in installment plans to find to find the ratio. In the midst of this, to find the constant ratio, you use this certain formula. Now, you just need to know, you look at this formula, R equals 2mi b over b parenthesis n plus 1. So this is the formula. It's just that you have to remember the formula, and know what to plug in, what values to plug in. And you'll find it's not very hard. First of all, if you know the amount of loan and the interest to be paid and the length of the loan, you could use this simple interest formula to find the interest rate, what you're paying in interest. That is your ratio. Remember, ratio are percentage. Usually, when the word ratio means basically your ratio is a fraction, and a fraction can be equivalent to a ratio. The ratio being in percentage, right? And what we want to know is what percent interest we're paying. And then when we know, oh man, we're paying a big percent, or we're not really paying, that's average. So we could find out what they're making off of us, right? But you need to know the amount of the loan, you need to know the interest that you're paying, and you need to know the length of the loan. And then you can find out what is your percent. What percent interest are you paying? So the ratio, basically going on, in order to do to use this formula, there's 3 different things that you have to make sure that you are doing. And what are these 3 things? First, payments must be of equal amounts. You can't have payments that are more than equal amounts. They all have to be, all your payments have to be the same. The ratio of interest paid to its principal has to be the same. And the loan is repaid on schedule. So most of the time, these 3 things are in any installment plan anyway. But if you're paying different amounts each time, it's not going to work. If the ratio of the interest that you're paying to the principal has to be same for each payment, or else, if it's changing ratio, you're not going to work, which usually it's not. And then you have to pay on schedule, because if you don't pay on schedule, they're going to give you penalty and charge you more for late fees and such, right? So it says, by law, a lender must tell the borrower what the actual annual interest rate is charged on the loan. Before you can borrow money, be sure you understand the interest charge. What are they charging? They can't just say, okay, you don't really understand this, so but we're doing a good job for you, right? And then you find out you're paying like humongous percent of finance charge with interest. You're paying a high interest rate. The lender has to tell you what the interest rate is and how it works. Like, remember what I told you, as you're paying your payments, your interest rate is going to go up, and so you have to find the average annual. Well, this will tell you what you're paying, okay, in these installment plans by plugging this in. But we have to know what to plug in now. So we need to use a couple problems to show you what these letters represent. So here we have George Beeson borrowed $1,000 from a finance company that he's to pay in 15 equal monthly payments of $77.50 each. The interest charge is $162.50. Find the approximate annual interest rate to the nearest whole percent. Now, some of these problems get pretty hard because you have all kinds of ratios going on. You can use your calculator to make it easy. This one here we can actually do on paper. So let's do it. So first of all, we're going to write our formula down. R equals 2mi bn plus 1. So, okay, well, what is what? We always know one thing. This m is going to be 12 because m is going to mean, basically the m is going to mean a 12-month period, right, for m. And n is going to mean how many installments, how many payments we have to make. So we got those two pretty lined up in our head, right? M and n. M and n is, m is always going to be a year, so it's always going to be 12 months. And n is always going to be how many times you're going to pay. Now base, what do you think base is? Base is going to be, base actually, here, maybe I could zoom in. Well, I guess we're okay. Base is going to be what you're borrowing, the amount you're borrowing, right? That's your base. So we have 2mi. Interest is going to be what you're paying for interest. So you know what you're paying for interest, you know what your base is, and you'll know everything. So first, let's go on. Substitute the correct values. M is always going to be 12. So they put 12 in here, right? And interest is going to be, oh, what are we paying for interest? We're paying $162.50. So it's going to be, interest is going to be $162.50. And then 2, so it's going to be 2 times 12 times $162.50. And then the base is going to be, we're borrowing $1,000. And how many payments are we going to make? What does it say? 15 payments. 15. So 15 plus 1. That's our right here, 15 plus 1. So here we have it. 15 plus 1. And so as you can see, all of the canceling out as we do. You know, I did a lot of canceling here. And you can see how they canceled, but actually as you cancel it all out here and you're canceling these numbers out, you'll find if you just first of all multiply the numbers here, multiplying the numbers, you got 487.5 over 2,000. And so then you can say, you can change this to point, because of course we're going to be talking about decimals. And so as you're times this by, or taking 1,000 off here, change the decimal point to 0.4875, and this 0.4875 equals 24%. Okay, so they did it either this way or this way. As they're canceling everything out, they got to 3.9 over 16. R equals 24%. Basically just going through all these numbers and you'll find out the percent. Make sure you change it from decimals to decimals so you can see what percent it is. So sometimes the problem is done if cancellation. So sometimes I like to do the cancellation way, but you know, a denominator of 2,000 makes a simple divisor, because then you can divide it out. Okay, so here's another problem. See if you can see this good. Okay, I have to move it over a bit at the end. Okay, Elaine Cotter borrowed $300 from a finance company for 6 months to be paid in 6 equal monthly payments of $53 each. This fits into our problem, but first of all, of course, we need to know how much interest she paid. So we have, she borrowed $300 for 6 months and 6 equal payments, but doesn't tell us how much interest, so we don't have interest. So let's find out how much interest. If she borrowed $300, if she borrowed for $300 to be paid in 6 months with monthly payments of 53, we know how much she's paying, right? Because we take 53 times 6, and then we know how much we're paying. We get 53 payments of 6 payments. So we get $318. We're going to pay $318 at the end, but we only borrowed $300. So our interest is going to be $18. We're paying $18 extra to them. So now we know the interest. So now we can fill in the BM, or the R equal 2mi over BN plus 1, right? So we've got the formula. We take 2, and M is always going to be a year in 12 months. M is always going to be 12. So we put down 12. And then the I, interest rate, we're paying $18 interest there. Put the $18 in. Now the B is the base, which is $300. That's how much money we're going to get. That's how much money we borrowed, $300. And how many payments are we making? 6. Well, 6 plus 1. So now we have R equals 144 over 700. And so we can reduce this to 1.44 over 7, or we can just, divide this out and we'll get 20.6%. Basically changing this decimal, the decimal you'll get will be 0.206, and so that you can change that to percent. See how easy that is? It's not going to be so hard if you just do it. Plug in your numbers into what they represent, and you'll get the answer. See here if we have, let's see, 20.6%. I want to do one of these exercises here, down here at the bottom, because I think it's pretty important that you know these. I know that the answers are here, but it's good that the answers so you can understand. So we have a loan of $900 is to be repaid in 12 equal monthly payments. So now we want to know, we need to know all of, we need to know what the M is, we need to know what the I is, the B, and the N in each problem. So what's the M? We know what the M is already. It's 12. M is going to be 12. Now the interest rate. So what is the interest rate? Well, we're going to be paying 12 equal payments of $82.50. So what are we going to do there? So for 12 times, you're going to say $82.50. I'm figuring it here, times 12, right? And that's how much you're going to be paying. 12 equal payments of $82.50. So let's do that really quick. I don't know what that screaming noise is. 10, oh, it's a video or something. Okay, so what do we have? What do we have for 12 the interest? Well, we're going to be paying, this is our thing here, so I forgot to put the decimal, $990, right? Well, how much did we borrow? We only borrowed $900. So our interest is going to be $90. So we're going to pay $90, and we're going to pay it in how many payments? 12 equal payments. Now we have all that we need to plug into our problem. So let's do number 3. So we want to find, look at next extra, let's read it. Dan borrowed $5,400 for 15 minutes to be paid back in monthly installments, and so of $400 each. So first of all, we find the base is going to be, we're borrowing $5,400, right? Let's put it over here so you can see it better. We're borrowing, the base is going to be $5,400. Of course, M is always going to be 12 months, so we put 12 for M, 12 months. And then we're going to see what N is going to be, how many payments, 15 months. But we need to know the interest we're paying. So how do we find the interest? Well, easily. We have what? We have $400 paid for 15 months. So I took $400 times 15, and I got $6,000. Well, we only borrowed $4,400, so 6,000 minus, or 5,400, and subtracting, and so our interest, we paid $600 interest on the interest. Now we have all the parts we need, don't we, to plug in to our formula. Okay, let's go on to number 4. Okay, I don't know if you can see it really. Let me move this so you can see it. This will be our last bit for this. Okay, here we go. Bill and Cece Leathers borrowed $2,000 for 12 months to be paid back in monthly installments of $180 each. And so, so basically we have how many? We're going to have 12 months for M, always 12 months in this situation. N, how long? 12 months. 12 months for N. And our base is going to be, B is going to be $2,000. So now we have to find the interest rate, how much we're paying in interest. So let's see how I did here for you. M, 12 months, N, 12 months, base is 2,000. We have that. So the interest, so we have the interest here. And what did they say that for the interest it's going to be? To be paid back in installments of $180 for 12 installments. So 180 times 12, we get 2,160. Well, we only borrowed 2,000, so we subtract that and we have our interest is $160 interest, and now we can pay it back. Okay. One other problem that I'll have you do here. I'm finding these. I think we'll be able to do the test pretty easily on these. So here we know the interest charge is we're charging us $112. The loans for $1,400, and we're paying in 12 monthly payments. They will now want to know what the percentage. So let's do that. So we put it into our formula. R equal 2MI, B, N plus 1. Okay, so R equals 2. M is always going to be 12, right? And they told us the interest was $112, right? So we have $112 here, the interest. And so now the B, how much did they say we borrowed? $1,400 here. We're buying $1,400. So we put $1,400 as B right here. The B is $1,400. The M is 12, and the interest is 112. And now, how many payments are we going to make? It says number of monthly payments, 12. 12. And so we have it right there. So now, let's put it here. So now we can calculate this out. This is kind of an easy one because, you know, the calculations can be canceled out pretty easy, and you can actually do it on your, you can do it on your calculator. So anyway, so basically in doing this, you have 24 times 112, 1,400 over 1,300. I calculated out to this here, this number, and then you can just divide that out on your calculator. Whoops, can't see it there. There you go. You can divide that out on your calculator. I started to divide it out, then I'm like, okay, let's divide that out in your calculator, and you should get 14.8%, right? So anyway, that's how you're going to do them. So basically, we're going to go on to credit cards, but credit cards are another way of borrowing money. But that's how you do installment plans, and you have that. Just remember what all those different parts mean. Just remember, B means the base. M means a year, 12 months, always the same. N means how many payments are you going to make. And then, of course, interest. What interest are you paying? And doing that, you can find the percent interest that you are paying. And that percent interest, you'll know if you're paying too much or not. And installment plans. Okay?